What makes a man who once terrorized America's banks become a national legend? John Dillinger, infamous bank robber, prison escape artist, and for some, a folk hero. But why, after all these years, do we still find his story so captivating? Stay with us, because by the end of this video you'll understand why America can't let go of John Dillinger. To understand Dillinger's rise to infamy, we need to go back to the 1930s. The Great Depression, a time when banks were foreclosing homes and average Americans were struggling to survive. In this era of despair, John Dillinger became a symbol of rebellion. He wasn't just robbing banks. In the eyes of many, he was taking back what people had lost. And that made him dangerous, but also admired. Dillinger wasn't your average criminal. With charm and a cunning mind, he turned his crime spree into a spectacle. Headlines followed his every move, and Hollywood would soon be inspired by his story. But his tale wasn't just about theft. It was about outsmarting the law, escaping from prisons, and becoming a master of disguise. Imagine this. It's a quiet day at the bank. Suddenly, Dillinger and his gang burst through the doors. With precision and military-like planning, they're in and out within minutes. No lives lost, no chaos, just a perfectly executed heist. It was these clean robberies that made people question, was Dillinger really a villain or just a man playing the system that had failed millions? John Dillinger was seen as a Robin Hood figure, even though he kept the money for himself. He represented the rebellion against corrupt institutions during a time when trust in the government and banks was at an all-time low. But Dillinger's story wasn't just about robbing banks, it was about beating the system. Twice, he escaped from prison. In one of the most famous escapes, he used a wooden gun he had carved himself. Outwitting the authorities became his signature move, and with every escape, his legend only grew. The FBI had never seen anything like him. He was public enemy number one. But despite the full force of the law hunting him down, Dillinger remained elusive. He became the face of an era when gangsters ruled the headlines and the public secretly rooted for them. Dillinger was more than just a criminal, he was an American icon. Even today, his story fascinates historians, filmmakers, and crime enthusiasts alike. His life is a reminder of a turbulent time in American history, when the line between hero and villain was blurred by desperation. But every legend must come to an end. On July 22, 1934, John Dillinger walked out of the Biograph Theater in Chicago, unaware that federal agents were waiting for him. In a dramatic shootout, Dillinger's life came to a violent conclusion. Or did it? Dramatic pause, suspenseful music. Rumors swirled for decades. Was the man shot outside the theater really Dillinger? Some claimed it was a look-alike, a body double. The mystery of his death only fueled the fascination with his life. Even today, Dillinger's story is retold in books, films, and even museums. But why do we remain so captivated by this outlaw? Perhaps it's because his story isn't just about crime. It's about survival, rebellion, and living on the edge in a time when many had nothing left to lose. John Dillinger wasn't just a bank robber, he was a symbol of defiance. He reminds us of a time when the American dream felt like it was slipping away, and one man, against all odds, dared to fight back. Do you think Dillinger was a hero or a villain? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want more stories about legendary figures from history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time, stay curious. It was the crime of the century, £2.6 million stolen in one night. A heist so daring, so meticulous, it would change the face of crime in Britain forever. This is the story of how 15 men pulled off the impossible, the Great Train Robbery of 1963. What if I told you this audacious robbery wasn't just about greed, but about planning so precise it felt like a Hollywood script? And yet, the final chapter was filled with betrayal, mystery, and brutal consequences. By the end of this video, you'll know the inside story of how this infamous heist unfolded, and the shocking aftermath no one expected. Our story begins in 1962, in a dimly lit pub in London. A group of career criminals, led by mastermind Bruce Reynolds, came together to plan the unthinkable, robbing a Royal Mail train carrying millions in cash. But they weren't just any gang. These men were specialists, a mix of burglars, drivers, and most critically, a former train worker. Their target? A quiet stretch of the West Coast main line where the train would slow down. To them, it was a weak spot, a perfect place to strike. But the real secret to their success was on the inside. Enter the Ulsterman, a mysterious insider who provided crucial intel on how the train operated, making the robbery even possible. August 8, 1963. It was a night like any other, but not for this gang of 15 men. As the Royal Mail train carrying millions of pounds in cash approached its fateful stop, the gang had everything in place. They had cut the railway signals, forcing the train to stop. The robbers stormed the train, overpowering the conductor with brutal efficiency. But the real challenge was inside the HVP, or high-value packages carriage. It took sheer physical force and some insider knowledge to break in. Within minutes, they had hauled away sacks containing 2.6 million pounds. The plan was flawless. But here's the twist: there was no violence against passengers. The gang considered themselves gentlemen criminals. In just 30 minutes, they vanished into the night with what today would be worth over 50 million pounds. Act 3, the aftermath, how they got caught. But no heist is perfect. Despite their careful planning, the gang made one critical mistake. They left fingerprints behind at their hideout, Leatherslade Farm. It didn't take long for Scotland Yard to trace the gang, leading to the largest manhunt in British history. In the weeks that followed, most of the robbers were caught, and harsh sentences were handed out. The ringleader, Bruce Reynolds, fled and evaded capture for years. But justice eventually caught up. However, the money, only a fraction was ever recovered, leaving millions still unaccounted for. Act 4. The mystery of the Ulsterman and the missing money. One question still lingers: who was the Ulsterman? Despite decades of speculation, his true identity was never revealed. Some say he was a former Royal Mail employee, others suggest he may have even been a member of law enforcement. And what about the missing money? Over half of the fortune vanished into thin air, never to be seen again. To this day, the Great Train Robbery remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in Britain. Was it an inside job gone wrong, or a crime so sophisticated that parts of it will never be uncovered? Act 5. The legacy of the Great Train Robbery. The Great Train Robbery didn't just shake Britain's financial institutions, it changed the way the public viewed crime. These were criminals, but they were also seen as folk heroes by some, defying the establishment. Films, books, documentaries, this heist has cemented itself in pop culture. But for the men involved, it was a life of constant running, prison sentences, and regret. In the end, this wasn't just a robbery. It was a moment in British history that redefined the boundaries between right and wrong, and it left us all asking, is the perfect crime ever really perfect? Conclusion, final thoughts. The Great Train Robbery may have happened over half a century ago, but its impact still lingers. What do you think? Was this crime the result of sheer brilliance, or was it destined to fail from the start? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more untold stories from history. Until next time, keep your curiosity alive. There are heists that make headlines, and then there are those so bizarre, they remain hidden in the shadows of history. Today, we're uncovering a heist unlike any other, one you've probably never heard of. This is the story of a small group of masterminds who pulled off a heist so strange, so outlandish, that it's hard to believe it actually happened. It all started in 1911, in a town where nothing much ever happened. But that all changed when a band of thieves decided to go after an unlikely target. Not a bank, not a vault, not even a priceless jewel. No, they were after a massive cheese factory. Yes, you heard that right, a cheese factory. But not just any cheese, the most coveted rare cheese in all of Europe. The thieves, led by a mastermind named Jean, devised an elaborate plan to steal a fortune of cheese worth millions in today's market. Why cheese, you ask? Because this wasn't just about money, it was about prestige, power, and outsmarting the authorities. Jean's plan was meticulous. He knew every shift change, every blind spot, and every way in and out of the factory. And they weren't just after cheese, they wanted the rare, priceless wheel of Gruyere, aged for over 10 years, locked away in the factory's vault. On a cold, foggy night, the heist began. The team moved like ghosts, slipping past guards and disabling alarms. But just when they thought everything was going according to plan, something strange happened. A single light flickered on. A guard walked by, but didn't notice a thing. The thieves made their way to the vault, cracked it open, and there it was. The legendary Wheel of Cheese. It was a moment of triumph, until they realized the Wheel of Cheese was gone. Unbelievably, another group of thieves had stolen the cheese just hours before Gene's crew arrived. 2 heists in the same night? Impossible. Gene's plan, flawless as it was, had been outsmarted by another crew. But the story doesn't end here. The rival thieves disappeared without a trace, and to this day, no one knows what happened to the rare cheese. Gene and his team were caught, but their rivals? Gone with their prize. The cheese remains a legend, perhaps still hidden somewhere in Europe, waiting to be discovered. The bizarre heist of 1911 isn't just about cheese. It's a reminder that even the most detailed plans can fall apart, and sometimes, reality is stranger than fiction. So next time you enjoy a slice of Gruyere, just remember, there's a chance you're eating history. What do you think happened to the cheese? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more bizarre tales from history.